Good morning. My name is Shirley Channing and I'm a docent and a master gardener here at Green Spring Gardens. And today I want to share with you my very favorite tree here. It's my favorite tree for a couple of reasons. It's a beautiful, stately, very tall tree. Any time of the year it's beautiful. And it's also my favorite because it has just a little bit of a checkered past. If you look off in the distance, you might be able to see the London plane tree. To me, it looks like it's the tallest tree in this area. It looks very much like a sycamore tree, but it's not. It's a cross between the American sycamore and the Oriental plane tree. For shade, beauty, and vigor, you can't top the London plane tree. It's a deciduous tree that provides visual interest in the winter and wonderful, wonderful shade in the summer. Birds love its high canopy for nesting and foraging to get materials for their nests and to find food. The London plane tree withstands city parking lots and city streets, and it's known as the world's most reliable urban tree. It's planted in London. It was planted during the Industrial Revolution because it does such a good job of withstanding air pollutants. It's also planted all around the world in large cities. In the United States, in New York City, it's known as the largest, tallest tree, street tree, and it's the oldest tree in Central Park. My son came home this weekend with plans for a big land development project in Baltimore, and I love to look at his plans because I like to read the plant list. And I was so excited because on the plant list for this large development in Baltimore, there were London plane trees. And I started telling him all about the London plane trees. And of course, then he started telling me everything he knows. A song in Handel's opera Xerxes says, "Never sweeter was the shade of any dear and lovable plant." Now, that might be a little excessive, but it does provide wonderful shade and longevity. So it is a wonderful tree. It's really not native to anywhere. It was identified in Spain and England in the 17th century, and we have to believe that England won that argument because it is named the London plane tree. It's a hybrid of two trees, the Oriental plane tree and the American sycamore, and they're from totally opposite sides of the globe. So it was a happy accident where these two trees were planted closely together in both Spain and in England. And that's how we got the London plane tree. It's not a native, it's a hybrid. This tree has both male and female flowers on the same tree. So it's both handsome and beautiful. The fruit is called buttonballs, and they're about the size of a Swedish meatball. They are on the tree in the spring, and they turn brown in the fall, and they hang on the tree throughout the winter then. If you broke one open, inside you would see hundreds of seeds and some white fluff. So the fruit is perfectly engineered for seed dispersal because the seeds can attach to the white fluff and the wind can blow them a distance from the tree. It's neat to think about a tree being that perfectly engineered by nature. I'm going to tell you a trick for identifying the trees that we talked about. The London plane tree, the American sycamore, and the Oriental plane tree. If you looked at the buttonballs hanging from the tree, if there's one hanging by itself, it's probably an American sycamore tree. If they're in a group of two, it's probably a London plane tree. And if they're in a group of three or more, it's probably an Oriental plane tree. Now you can be an expert on these trees. The bark of the London plane tree peels in tubular curls like this, and in large patches like this, and it's brown and green and gray, and when it peels it reveals a smooth white bark underneath. Like here, you can see that smooth white bark. The peeling bark helps it withstand the pollutants. It's wind resistant and it grows between 70 and 120 feet in height. The grain is very fine and very tough and very hard to split. It was long ago used for ox cart wheels because it is so tough and it's hard to split. Today it's used more for furniture and architectural millwork, flooring, butcher blocks, and for wood turning. Photographs and other documented information helps Green Spring estimate the age of our London plane tree to be about 90 years old. Amazing, 90 years old. We hope that you'll come back and visit the London plane tree. It loves to have visitors. And I hope you'll also come in the winter because it's such a striking tree in the winter and it stands out even more than it does today. Thank you for coming on this walk with me.